Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, Hidden. I hope you are well. Good morning, everybody over on Binance Square. Rao, good morning to you. I hope you're well. Let's get started then, shall we? Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. Now, this should be an improved stream because the memory has been upgraded on this computer and we all seem to be working. So, good news, I can have more than one thing open at the same time. Now, good morning to Hidden, good morning KB, whoever else is in chat. I've been away for a few days. Yes, I am back with a lovely new October themey type thumbnail. That's the first change. Second change, actually, after the memory. But what isn't going to change is what we're going to go through today. We are going to look at the X-Files. Of course, we're going to look at the X-Files. We're going to look at bottom in. Have we done it? Are we now going to Nirvana? Are we all going to be rich? Are we all going around to everybody else's houses and drinking caviar and smoking champagne? Who knows? We're going to look at Ethereum. We're going to look at XRP. We're going to look at Litecoin. We're going to look at USAT. We're going to look at Melania. And also, if we have time, we might cut out Melania. If we have time, I'm going to give you 4 picks. I don't do this, which makes me think that this could possibly be not the start. As in, I don't think we're just going to go straight up from here. And I know you don't want to hear that. I know you want to hear where we are going to go. And I am going to show you the Bitcoin chart with where I think we're going to go on it. Yes. But I don't know if it starts today. Three of them are going to be on Binance Square. 3 of the 4 are going to be on Binance Square. 1 of them isn't going to be on Binance. Okay? So those of you watching on Binance, 3 of the 4 will be over there. 4 of the 4 will be somewhere else. And 1 of them is planned for tonight, which is going to be delayed. It is not going to be tonight because we don't have a lot. Let me just check. Keep an eye on my phone and see where we are. We seem to be okay. We seem to be okay. Right, anyway, well, I suppose we should get into the show before everything just comes to a grinding halt then, shouldn't we? Basically, what I'm saying here is that we are going to have 4 quiz nights. There's 3 Wednesdays, so we're going to do one on a different night. And that is whenever we can get round to it. And ideally, a Friday night. That would be the plan, okay? But we will tell you more when we get there. Now, Bitcoin has moved an awful lot since we last spoke. And I'm going to bring up the Bitcoin chart in a second to show you something. Ethereum is back almost at $4,500. XRP is back over $3. BNB is at $1,100 for BNB, the coin that doesn't move. Solana, $231. Now, there are some targets that I've seen people put out there with a $300 top for Solana. I just think it's not going to go as low as that. I mean, that is 25, 30% maybe from where we are now. Really? So we're saying that Ethereum is going to go up 40, 50% and Solana's only going to go up 30%. I don't see a $300 Solana. I see a little bit higher. Maybe the bull run is extended. We've talked about that before. I just see it a lot higher than where we are. Doge, we ignore. Tron, 34 cents. I don't think we're too far off all-time highs with that. Hype is still under $50. Cardano, 86 cents. These are good prices. Chainlink, almost back to where it was. $25, I think, was a recent high. Decent prices. Let's look at the gainers. PancakeSwap, EtherFi, Asta, BNB. A few good big coins in here. Lido DAO, another decent project. Solana is 10th on the gainers. Now, Pump.Fun. I'm going to mention a little bit about Pump.Fun at the end because that is one of my picks. XRP is up there. I mean, these are the main coins moving. Okay? Losers, the coin that I don't look at and haven't looked at is this MYX Finance. I don't know anything about it. I've refused to look at it. It came out of nowhere. It suddenly became a massive coin. And you know what? Let it retrace, and then I'll look at it. Okay, we've done this before with other coins. I don't follow the hype train. Excuse the pun. 00, again, that only recently launched. I think last night on Solana. That's down 17%, but who cares? It's only just launched. Plasma is down again. I'm not too worried about that. I'm a big fan of that. Chronos is down a little bit. Flare, Bonk, Quant, Pudgy Penguins, Pith, Litecoin is down there. Now, there is a lot more to talk about. We are streaming over here as well on Binance Square, so come and say hello if you're there. Let's get on to some X-Files because we've got a lot to talk about today, and I think we're not going to run out of time. So we're going to miss things out. We'll try and get through it as best we can. You know what we're like. We know what we're like. I think more yes, Danny is here. Good morning, Danny. I hope you are well. Ravmaster, I haven't seen you since about Bitcoin at $80,000. I hope you're well. Manjeet is in chat. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well. And look, my camera is a lot less framey than it has been. Right. The title is A Drunk Man is Brought Home by His Pushing You Towards All-Time Highs. That's me. I am the bull. For once, I am the bull. And I am pushing you home. I'm taking you home, okay? We're going home together, okay? And you're all going to be richer than you are today, okay? We're never going to sit here and give you ridiculous price targets. But I can say that if this is the last quarter, if this is the last 40 seconds of the game, we don't need a Hail Mary pass because we've already won. Okay? Per this CNBC reporting, the strategy favouring gold and Bitcoin now has a name. JP Morgan analysts are calling it the debasement trade. What have we been saying for 3 years, 2.5 years, however long ago we started this? I think it was June 2022 when we started. What have we been saying? The reason to buy Bitcoin is what? Okay? The reason to buy Bitcoin is it's a hedge against inflation. And what does inflation do? Inflation eats away at the value of your money. The $100 in your pocket today will be worth $90, $92 in 2 years' time. Your loaf of bread, which was €1 today, will be €1.05 next year, €1.10 the year after, okay? It's not the cost of what you're buying that's going up. It's the value of what's in your pocket going down, and it's called debasement. And if you don't know what that is, you need to go and learn about debasement, okay? Now, JP Morgan have rocked up when Bitcoin's at 120,000, scratched their little Laurel and Hardy noggins and gone, I think we're going to call this the debasement trade. It's been the debasement trade for the last 200 years. Why do people buy gold? Why was money on the gold standard? Because it kept some level of value to the dollar in your pocket. And American governments, UK governments, they went, we can't keep printing money because we keep having to buy gold. So what we're going to do is stop buying gold and just print money. Backed by what? By an economy? By a ship with cannonballs on it? So, thank you for coming to the party, JP Morgan. We are not going to diss you anymore. You are welcome to the party. But please don't claim that this is your theory. And don't turn around in 4 years' time and say, oh, yes, we came up with a debasement trade. Why do you think we're in crypto? Why do you think we talk about Bitcoin all the time? Why is Bitcoin the most important trade? Because it's a store of value. And while you're seeing Bitcoin going to $200,000, the dollars in your pocket are worth less. President Trump is considering paying taxpayers with $1,000 to $2,000 stimulus checks using tariff revenue. I'd call this bribery, but that's just me. I mean, I don't know what this guy thinks he is, but there you go. You've been lingering. I don't mind lingerers. Okay, we get a lot of lingerers. If you look at the amount of people who watch, and then you look at the amount of people who chat, it's not even 10 to 1. I don't think it's even 10 to 1. The only time we get people really talking is during the quizzes, and that's because if they want to win crypto, they have to type. But outside of that, people don't type. You know, KB's sitting there. He's got his cigar in one hand. He's got his glass. He's got an old-fashioned in the other hand. He's got his feet up on his mahogany table. He's watching his net worth go into 8 figures, and he's listening to me. He can't reach the keyboard. I don't blame him for that. JP Morgan, again, they're in the news. It predicts $165,000 Bitcoin price by year end. Now, we're starting to see this, and this is the one thing I want you to be aware of. These types of people don't talk about the end of the bull run. They talk about year end, where Bitcoin is going to be Q2 26, Q4 25, Q1 26. They don't talk in the same way that we do about bull runs. Again, I'll go back to something I've been saying for, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. This is the last great bull run. It doesn't mean there's not going to be another bull run in the future. It means the effect is going to be so much more insignificant in 4 years' time. Of course, we're going to follow economic cycles. Of course, we're going to follow presidential campaigns. Of course, we're going to follow macro events. Yes. But in terms of minor difficulty, the Bitcoin halving, it's not meant to keep shooting up. Look at what Satoshi did. He was halving the rewards. So it goes from 100 to 50 to 25 to 12.5 to 6.25, 3.125, because it's supposed to have less effect as time goes by. But we're starting to see people take the bull run out of the conversation. Whether that's a dangerous thing to do or not, I do not know. Now, this is for Solo Sky, who's just shown up in chat. I couldn't have written this any better. Solo Sky DM'd me yesterday, or the day before, I can't remember which, and this is to do with dupe. Now, there was an AMA which was going on as Solo Sky was messaging me, so he messaged me at the right time, and I've got the breakdown here for you. As you know, we're big fans of Dupe. We're not sponsored by them. We have no affiliation with Jupiter. We just hold their token. And this is the breakdown of the airdrop. Now, Meteora is probably one of the big 5, one of the big 6 over on Solana, and they're going to do their TGE, token generation event. And 3% of all of their tokens are going to be given to Dupe stakers. Okay, people that hold Dupe and stake it with Dupe. And this is a bit of a breakdown. 1% of the 3 is going to be given to everybody that holds Dupe and is staking. But then 2% is going to be for the long-term believers who never unstaked or partially unstaked their airdrop. Okay, so you get, well, not airdrops. Wouldn't really call it airdrops on Jupiter. I'd call it more rewards. Now, I have held my Dupe and I've never unlocked one of it. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to get my share of the 3%. And it's going to be based on how long you've staked your Dupe for. So I know a lot of you have got Dupe. I know a lot of you got it as an airdrop. I know a lot of you have staked it. It shouldn't be 45 cents. I'll keep saying that. The same way that syrup shouldn't be 38, 40 cents, but it is. And it is what it is, as that stupid expression goes. But it shouldn't be. It should be higher. So the eligibility minimum is 50 Dupe. If you don't hold 50 Dupe, which is about $25, you don't get anything. It's the 23rd of October, which is 3 weeks today. 3 weeks yesterday. All eligible stakers are automatically registered for the Liquidity Distributor NFT. Now, this is something else to bear in mind. These tokens are not going to appear in your wallet. You are going to get an NFT. Now, this is a bit hard to explain, and maybe it's not the time and the place to do it, but I'll explain. If you ever use Camino Finance or Orca or anything else on Solana, what you do is you say, let's say you have $100 and you put that into USDT, USDC. You put your $100 in and it's paying you 5%. You'll get an LP token back, or in the case of Solana, you'll get an NFT. And that NFT is your stake. So if you delete that NFT, you've lost your money. Okay? We're still in the pre-golden age of all of this stuff working properly, okay? So if you stake $1 million on Orca, on a liquidity pool, and you delete your NFT, I don't know what to tell you. So what's happening here is that you're going to get an NFT that links to your airdrop, and your airdrop is going to be on Meteora in a liquidity pool. So you're going to be airdropped revenue or profit-making tokens from day one. So if you just don't touch it, it's going to go up in value. You can, of course, go to Meteora, unlock the liquidity, and then sell it. By all means, you can do that. But that is the 23rd. So 3 weeks yesterday, that is coming up. Okay? And another reminder for all of you who have taken so much profits, you don't know what to do with them. You're so rich that you simply can't smoke all the Cubans that you've bought. Binance, other exchanges, DEXs, all have stablecoin liquidity, stablecoin ways to earn. Syrup USDC is on Binance. That pays 6.7 to 7%. Camino Finance, which is on Solana, you have options to make 10%, 10.9%, 14%. This one, by the way, which is the PYUSD USDC, that is PayPal and Circle. So that's not Tom and Dave's stablecoin paired with Aunt Bessie's stablecoin. She can stick to making roast potatoes. This is PayPal and Circle, and that's paying 14%. It is bribing you. They are adding rewards, okay? What I'm saying is when you take your profits, let's say you make $1,000 in profit. If you put 1,000... now, did my... No, okay, I'm still live. Perfectly fine. Right, let's move on. Actually do some content, shall we? Rather than me just giving you tidbits. Bitcoin tops 121,000. Ether hits 3-week high amid US shutdown shuffle. Again, the jobs report should have came out yesterday. You can't bring out jobs reports when the government has been shut down. For those of you in chat that were panicking, for those of you that were in chat saying this is the end of democracy and what the Democrats doing, what the Republicans doing, this is pantomime, okay? The world is a stage, and this is pantomime. This is both sides blaming each other for no reason, and they're trying to basically agree on the budget. And I suppose you could argue that this is the democratic process. Trump simply can't sign a piece of paper and add $2 trillion worth of debt to the US economy. It has to go through the House. The budget goes through the House. So you should actually really, really be impressed by this, okay? Because this is democracy, you know. If you've got a court or if you've got a parliament where it's 80% one party, 20% another party, where's the democracy? There's no debate because whatever they say will go. So if I was, let's say I had the Mike party in the UK and I had 500 of the 650 seats, I could come on here and say, right, every Tuesday you've all got to send me personally £5. And I bring that in as an act of parliament, and you've all got to send me £5 out of your wages every Tuesday. Nothing can stop you, okay? I've got 4 years of that. That's not democracy. That's a dictatorship. So you should be happy to see that America has this shutdown. And no, I don't care what you read. What you read is BS. It's garbage. Absolute garbage, okay? A government lockdown where the Democrats and the Republicans have to agree on the budget is the best form of democracy. Now, where I draw the line is stupid Democrats and stupid Republicans. And believe you me, there are some, okay? Remember what Gizgo is. It's garbage in, sophisticated garbage out. You have certain states over there which have garbage, and they put them through as their, whatever they're called, senators, and they become sophisticated garbage, but still garbage. And you have a few of them, and they're the ones that seem to make it into the news. But at the heart of it, they're not trying to do anything other than make sure that the budget keeps their citizens in food and shelter and heat and things like that. So don't believe what you read. Bitcoin is rising, gold is rising, ETFs are rising, October seasonality are adding to the momentum. Absolutely true. There's only ever been one red October. Okay? Now, you could argue that maybe this month could be the hunt for red October. But I don't think so. I don't think Sean Connery is going to turn up at any point in October. I've got my price target for where I think we're going to go in October, which I'm going to tell you in a minute. But suffice to say, we've had a bit of a rally, and it pretty much started on the 1st of October. Again, ahead of where I expected. I think somebody needs to check their numbers. Kyle, you need to be sacked or given a written warning. Bitcoin's all-time high was not $124. It was, of course, $124,000. I'd have given you a written warning for putting out an article like this. The US government shut down on October the 1st after lawmakers failed to reach a funding deal. It happens all the time. The S&P 500 has gone on to put all-time highs. We don't need to look at that. JP Morgan has got 165,000 for year end. Okay. Analysts added that retail investors have fueled the so-called debasement trade, pouring into gold and Bitcoin as a hedge against deficits, inflation, and fiat erosion. Over the long term, with global debt at record highs and fiat currencies under pressure, Bitcoin is increasingly seen as a liquid non-sovereign reserve asset, said John Ha. Now, one thing to bear in mind, debt is at all-time high. I haven't seen yet, and I'm sure KB out there and a few others out there might have this. I'd like to see an inflation-adjusted debt chart. I want to know, in real terms, adjusted for inflation, how much debt America, UK, European countries are in. Because you see this massive spike. I'm sure you've all seen the US debt chart. You've seen this massive spike. But they also printed 30% of their money in the space of 12 months. So, of course, it's going to go up because debt goes up. But then again, so does inflation. So if inflation has been 40% over the last 3 years, then surely you need to reduce the value of the debt by 40% because it's not 32 trillion as at 2019 prices. It's 32 trillion at 2025 prices. So again, I don't believe that either. There's lots of things to do with numbers that I don't believe because I understand numbers. Numbers don't lie. People use numbers to lie. Longer term view dovetails into the near October narrative. October has historically been Bitcoin's strongest month, averaging gains of more than 14% since 2013. We're not going to go through this. I'm going to show you my Bitcoin chart. And I'm sure you've seen this all before. And I'm sure you've seen the Oracle wax lyrical about things that I only understand about half of. Not even that. Now, just let me show you where we are, okay? We bounced off the top of the bull market support band, or the bottom of the bull market support band, back at the very end of August. At the pretty much nearly the end of September, we did exactly the same thing, and this time we bounced. Now, let me show you something. If I take another one of my fabled lines, and I drag this fabled line up here, look at that fabled line. Come on. You've got to be impressed by that. I could have told you exactly where we were going to come to, which is 120,000, 121,000. We got there. Now forget the wick. Sorry, forget the wick. Look at the candle, okay? We came there. Now, you will also see this line. This is takeoff. This is early, okay? This is early. What are we doing? No. This is where we go up. Anyway, yeah, so we now have another line which shows you that we've come to where we were going to go to. Now, maybe we don't stay there, but if we do come back down, where could we come back down to before we rock it off? We could come back down to about, I don't know, let's call it 117,500. Okay, what's that from where we are today? 2.5–3% retracement. I certainly don't think we're going to come back down to 113. Okay, is this a bull trap? That's the question I've asked. That's the poll question I've asked today. And so far, what have we got? 55% of you are saying this is a bull trap. 55% of you are saying this is a bull trap. Well, if it is a bull trap, then maybe we do. Maybe we come back down to about 113,000. But I think the first thing we need to do is, what did we do here? Okay, and are we going to replicate that? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to replicate that move. It's the wrong time now. Up here, I was saying we're not ready to go up because it's too early. Everybody's altcoins ripped. It's too early. It's too early. It's not the time that we rip. September isn't a great month. Now, we started September. What price did we start September at? We didn't start September at a good price, did we? We started September here, I think, about there. And we finished September about here. So we used the end and beginning of each month to put in a higher low. Well, that's a positive. And now we've broken up on the 1st of October. And now we're sitting at 120,000. So what I would love to see is this, where we come back down to maybe that area there, and then we jettison towards the middle of the month. And where do I think we're going to go? So if we take a 20% pump from where we were on September the 30th, we were at 114,000. So I think we're going to do a 20% pump, for argument's sake. So I think in this scenario, just for October, I think we're going to go... Look at that. I've even got the line on the charts. I've already drawn it. This is where I think we're going to go. Okay? Why does the Oracle insist on using black? Right. So I think that's where we're going to go to. At the end of October. Okay? About there. That's my first target. And that is, 12,000 above all-time highs. All-time highs were back on 13th of August. So I think maybe 136,000 is a good target for the end of October. I have seen some people talking about 140,000, fine, whatever it might be. But if we do retrace, if we do this, I think we could easily do this in October. Remember, let's not forget what we did back here. I mean, that was a move that took us from 59,000 to 109,000. So that was a $50,000 move last year. And I'm talking about this year, this time right now, is a $20,000 move to get to 136. Now, where do I think we're going to get to by the end of the year? I think we're going to get to about 160,000. And that is simply looking at the start of this run to the end of this run, finger in the air, is about a 50% move. 40 to 50% move. So from 100 and... what did we say we were at a minute ago? So we're at about 117,000. So I think 160,000 is where we're going to go by the end of the year, but also potentially by the end of this bull run. Now, if Bitcoin does go there, that's a lot higher than I thought. I thought 140 to 150. At one point, I was looking at 180, but it's in those ballparks. At no point have I ever said I think we're ever going to go over 200 to 250,000. If we get an elongated or a extended bull run, then clearly everything we've ever known about the 4-year cycle has to go out the window. But as I've said to you time and time again, until we go past, say, December, you'll see that I've drawn a line on here from a previous conversation, right? This is what people are telling you that we're going to do, right? If we don't do that and we do what I think we're going to do, then we are going to come down. And the question is, how far and how deep is the bear market going to go? So forget for a minute that we'd have an elongated bull run. Where do we come down to? So let's say we go to 160,000. We've already talked about the fact that there's no recession next year in America. In fact, the increase in GDP has gone up from 3.3 to 3.8%. So let's throw that out the window. The midterms, which is next year, are always a Debbie Downer on the markets. And the S&P comes down, therefore Bitcoin will come down. But where do we come down to? Traditionally, we'd say 60%. Now, 60% from 160,000 it's going to take us to what, about $80,000? Do I think Bitcoin's going to go to $80,000? I just don't see it. But if we've got diminishing returns, as in Bitcoin goes up less, then Bitcoin will come down less. That's the way I see it. So instead of a 60% correction, maybe we do a 40% correction. Now, if we do a 40% correction from 160,000, that brings us down to about $110,000. Could I see $110,000 Bitcoin in the summer of next year or the end of next year? Yes. If the macro goes the way that it normally goes in the midterms, then Bitcoin will come back down. So this scenario that the bank people are telling you, if enough people believe it, and BlackRock's and JP Morgan's and even Vanguard is going to come on board. I mean, if Vanguard are going to offer Bitcoin products, I'm going to have to be it's going to be very difficult for me to sit here and say we're going to come down to $100,000, because they're the big ones, and they've admitted this week they got it wrong. They've admitted it. Bitcoin is something that we've missed out on, and we're going to start to offer it to our clients. Well, that's a massive market. A massive market. So, scenario A, we follow the cycle. We come back down towards 100,000 next year. Option 2, the 4-year cycle is over, and we have no massive retracement, and we have maybe a minor retracement from 160 to 130 or 120, and then we just keep on marching. I'm going to stick to the 4-year cycle until we get to that point. But still, 160,000, I think, is the top. From where we are today, on the 1st of October, we've potentially got 7 to 8 weeks left. That's it. 7 to 8 weeks. We've been with you from $15,000 or $18,000 on Bitcoin. We've been with you since, I don't know what price Solana was. $30, $40. We've been with you all the way. And we were right pretty much all the way. And we weren't right because we're sages with crystal balls, but we were right because we followed the cycle. So for me, to get 6 or 7 weeks out from the end of the bull run and turn around and go, yeah, we're not going to follow that cycle that we've been following for the last 3 years, I think it's in the bin. No, we stick to it. And at the end of December, beginning of December, we then assess. But you should still be looking at Ethereum, you should still be looking at your alts and saying, what did I buy them at, and what are they worth today, and should I take profits? If you've got 5 ETH, for example, and you've paid $6,000 for those 5 ETH, and ETH goes to $7,000, so they're now worth $35,000, and you've paid 6 for them, and you don't take a profit, I don't know what to tell you. You should be looking at taking profits, because you don't know what's going to come around the corner. You don't know what's going to come around the corner. The same way, in 4 years' time, when Trump is out, and let's say Gavin Newsom comes in. Let's say Gavin Newsom comes in, and he says, listen, all you crypto bros, you've made so much money under Trump. I think it's only fair you give the government 5% of your profits. Wrecks the market. Gavin Newsom may be the VP. He may be the front runner. I don't know who's going to run with him, but he's the Democrat guy that I think they're gearing up to be the next president of America, from the Democrat side anyway. What can change in 2028? No, 2029. Look at what has just happened with Trump and do it in reverse. Before Trump, Gary Gensler, you couldn't get an ETF. Everyone was getting sued. KB went and bought an ice cream and got slapped with a cease and desist from the SEC. You couldn't do anything. It was shut down. Trump comes in, takes off all the administration, stops all of the kind of oversight of the American government, and basically gives us a free market for 3 years. We're going to absolutely rip. But politics is a pendulum, and it swings from left to right and left to right. And we've gone from very far left to very, very far right. And you know what comes after that? A swing back towards the left. And Gavin Newsom will probably be mid-left, not extreme left like Biden was. Trump's extreme right, in my opinion. Deregulating the industry is not as good as you might think it will be. ETH bottomed at 3.9, I thought, or said 3.6 to 3.8. What's $100? It's gone back towards $4,500. Now, $4,500 is only 8% from all-time highs. What was all-time high? 4,950. So we're literally, no, but we're 10% pretty much away, aren't we? 10% away from all-time highs. So Ethereum can hit all-time highs. It's had a retracement, probably found some level of support. 4,500 is a good price for where we are now. Again, the jostling for the end of the bull run, there's a lot of coins at very good prices. And the higher up the pyramid you go, the closer they are to all-time highs. Bitcoin, $4,000 off all-time high. Ethereum, $400 off all-time highs. Binance at all-time highs. Solana not far off all-time highs. XRP not far off all-time highs. The major coins are already there. So when they do have their blow off top, they're all going to put in all-time highs. The question then is everything underneath, how is that going to catch up? So momentum indicators are also lending strength to this outlook. That we're going to have a repeat of the Q2 setup. I think so. Derivatives, we don't talk too much about that. I don't want to talk too much about Ethereum. All I want to say is I think we'll hit $5,000 in October for Ethereum. I'm not going to see us hitting $6,000 just yet. I think Bitcoin is going to have its last massive run, and then everything is going to follow, and we've got 4 weeks for that to happen. So I would love to say right now, this is the most bullish month. Okay, if I'm going to sit here and crap talk, in 1 month of the year, in 1 month of the cycle, it's October. Okay, it's the month where I am allowed to not be negative. Okay, because we never go down in October. Okay, and we're not going to go to all-time highs if we don't go up in October. So I can't say every year in October we go up and then say, but hang on a minute, it could be a bull trap. Maybe there's a bull trap in the next few days, but the retracement to 117 or 115,000, we're $9,000 at 115,000 away from all-time highs. So whatever happens by the end of this month, we're going to get a new all-time high for Bitcoin. What did I say? It was going to be 136,000. If we go to 136,000, we are $24,000 away from top. It's not that much. It's a lot in market cap. It's a lot in volume. But it's October. And then it will be November. And then we're all going to be celebrating. Good morning, Tariq. I hope you are well. Let's move on. Now, we're going to be a lot quicker than we are on a lot of the things. CME Group to debut 24/7 crypto futures and options trading in early 2026 as Solana XRP launch nears. The world's largest regulated derivatives exchange announced that its crypto futures and options currently covering Bitcoin and Ethereum will become tradable 24/7 earlier next year. Now, does this mean that we're going to lose the CME gap? Surely this means we're going to lose the CME gap. The CME gap's gone, isn't it? Currently, trading in the wallets has halted during the weekends and outside business hours. Under the new structure, traders will be able to access products via the Globex at any time on any day for a 2-hour, except for a 2-hour weekly maintenance period. Holiday and weekend trades will all be settled on the next business day, maintaining consistency in reporting and clear operations. So this is the end of the CME gap. So, let me tell you what's important about this. You, when you are old and grey like me, are going to be able to turn around to your kids and say, I remember the time when the Chicago Mercantile Exchange only operated Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And your little kids or grandkids will look up and say, wow, you're really, really old. Okay? Because when we go 24/7, there'll be no CME gap anymore. And you will be called old by your grandkids. And you will be old, but you'll be rich. And rich can help when you're old. Let's move on. We're going to run out of time, and I want to get to my picks. Because, like I said, this is Bulltober, Uptober, all-time high-tober. You put whatever you want and put Ober on the end. XRP reclaims crucial price support. Can bulls hold the line? XRP is pumping again. Prediction market traders are leaning bullish, but the charts suggest any celebrations might be premature. XRP surged above $3 after weeks of sideways actions and bearish sentiment. Prediction market users on Myriad say there's a 55% chance it will hit $4 before dumping back to $2. The chart suggests caution. Here's why. I am not sure about that price move. I don't think XRP will hit $4 before going back to $2 at all. I think if we hit $4, we could retrace to 275, 280, which is where we went before. I can't see us going to $2. If XRP goes to $2 and has a 50% drop, what on earth is going to happen with the rest of the market? You can't take things in isolation. Is XRP going to go to $4, get rejected at $3.98, and then come all the way down to $2? I think it'll come down to $3.05, which is where it is now. Who am I? After weeks of sideways chop, XRP, the cryptocurrency created by the founder of Ripple, is making another run at the $3 mark. We're at 3.5 today. It's up 4%. The move comes as the broader markets show signs of life. Bitcoin holding steady above 110, just above 120 right now. And institutional interest in XRP reaching new times. Good times are back as we march into October. A prediction market built by Decrypt's parent company, Daston. Traders leaning. I think there's a marketing campaign on Myriad, by the way, because I think Polymarket is the main one. Traders have set the line at 55% that XRP will pump to 4, then dive to 2. Those odds have completely flipped related to where they were just last week. Now, I do genuinely think at $2, what did we come down to last week? Was it 256, 265? I think if you'd have said to me, could we go to $2 if the market dumps? I think, yeah, I would have taken that. But I don't see it dumping from $3.05 right now, unless we're in a bull trap. But if we go to $4, we're certainly not coming all the way back to 2. Unless $4 is XRP's all-time high. Unless we get to November and $4 is XRP's all-time high, then yes, we can come to $2. But that's an 18-month play. So I don't know whether that's going to happen. What I would do if I was you right now, if you've packed your bags, as I told you to do throughout September and August, pack your bags. Now I'd be looking at alternative plays. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I am happy with my Ethereum. I have my Ethereum position I have built over about 5 or 6 years. My Bitcoin position I have built over about 8 years. My XRP position I've built over 2 years. So January 23 I bought into XRP at 30 cents or whatever it was. If we go to $4 and I'm 13x'd, I'm happy. But we haven't hit my target, which is $5 to $7. So if we go to $6, I've 20x'd on XRP, the third biggest cryptocurrency in the world. So people who tell you you can't make massive returns, you can't now, but you could in 2023 when we were in the Biden era, when we'd just come out of COVID. That's when it was time to get in then. But now, if I was looking at a play today, I wouldn't be looking at anything in the top 10. But I'm going to show you them in a minute. Right then, Litecoin ETF is delayed. Why? Because of the government shutdown. This is a clear case of the American government working against Tariq. Okay? Tariq is the crypto warehouse Litecoin bull. Okay? He holds hundreds of thousands of Litecoin, I think Tariq said. And the ETF is still expected, but the shutdown has created delays. So again, we're going to use the term not if, but when. Not if a Litecoin ETF, but when an ETF. And again, I've said this before. I don't see Litecoin putting in an all-time high, which I think is $360, $390. I don't think we're going to go there. We're at $120 now, something like $110, $115 now. I think $250 to $300 would be a great price for Litecoin. But we're going to get the Litecoin ETF. And again, long term, I'll say this again, which I've mentioned a few times. If you asked me for one piece of advice today and said, right, Mike, I don't know anything about crypto. Clearly, you know slightly more than I do about crypto. Next laptop I buy, I am getting a backlit keyboard because I can't see the keys on this keyboard. In fact, I'm going to take a picture after and put it on Telegram so you can see. I can't see a thing. It's pitch bleeding black. I'm typing in the blind. So, it's my luck. I know. Listen, you're going to get your ETF. And what I'm going to tell you now, before we go into this article, is important. And you know what? Now we've got a fancy new bunch of memory. We're going to do this. Okay? So, this is for you, Tariq. If you came to me today and said, I don't know anything about crypto, I don't know what to do, what am I buying? I would say, if you've got $100,000, you go and get a list of every token that is going to be given an ETF. Bitcoin, Ethereum both have, Solana, XRP, Litecoin, Hedera, Chainlink, Hype, even Pengu, okay? Anyway, there's about maybe 12 or 15 cryptocurrencies that are going to get their own ETF. And I would very simply put, you go and look at the market caps of these different coins that are going to get their ETFs. And I would say, clearly Bitcoin, you would put 50 to 60% of your $100,000 into Bitcoin. Then you would put maybe 15% into Ethereum. And then the other 25% you'd put into the Solanas, the XRPs, the Litecoins, or whatever. That is what I would do. From today, or maybe 6 months ago, that's what I would do. Because where is the money going to come into crypto from? It's going to come from the institutions selling ETFs to their clients. Now, you're going to say to me, but why am I going to go and buy Pengu as an ETF when I've never heard of it? You don't have to, because BlackRock are going to create a fund, and it's going to be called the Crypto Fund. And you know what they're going to do? Okay? A little bit like one of those little street cafes that you see in different parts of the world where they just throw in everything, bits of fruit and meat and all kinds of things going there. A crypto ETF will be the same thing, and it will be weighted. So you will get a crypto ETF that will have every other ETF in it. Or, sorry, it will be like a fund of funds or an ETF of ETFs. So, passively, $100,000 that you put into crypto today and you divvy it up based on market cap is simply going to reflect what BlackRock, VanEck, Vanguard now, that's what they're all going to do. And then what you'll find is you will have a layer 1 ETF, and that will be Litecoin, Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, whatever. Then you might get a DeFi ETF in the future, which will be all of the different DeFi ETFs. That's where the money's going to come from. Okay, I was thinking about this today. How many more people are we going to get into crypto? How many more people are we going to get in crypto? To come into crypto and use Camino Finance, or use Morpho, or use Pendle, or use Aave, or use Arbitrum, how many more people are we going to get? Think about your family. Let's say you've got 10 people in your immediate vicinity. Are your parents, siblings, children, are they going to be using, say, Aave? No, they're not. So you are. So if you are the 1 in 10, as the song goes, if you're the 1 in 10, and then you multiply that out across the world to be 1 in 10, we're not going to bring 8 billion people to crypto. We're not going to bring 1 billion people to crypto. We might bring 500 million people to crypto. And when I mean to crypto, I mean in crypto. So that's the hard cap. on the number of people that will use the stuff that we use. And then the Binances of this world, they might onboard 2 billion people or 1 billion people with their light version. And they're going to have products on Binance. And they're going to say to you, do you know anything about crypto? No, not a thing. Don't have a clue. But I take the risk. I've got $1,000. Press a button. And then Binance will have a structured product or a portfolio which will reflect the top coins. Okay? If you think we are going to get Aunt Sally, or Aunt Bessie actually, because she makes nicer Yorkshire puddings, if you think we're going to get Aunt Bessie to buy a Pudgy Penguin, you've got another thing coming. So we're going to run out of people. So whatever we've got in crypto right now, that's fine. That's what we've got. They're the early adopters. And then we might get the next wave. And that's it. We're never going to get people to use crypto the way we use it. And it's never going to happen. So you, Tariq, holding your Litecoin, you know more than 1,000 years. 11 million people watch Coronation Street. Do you think any of them are going to buy crypto? Do you think anybody that watches Baywatch is going to buy crypto through a Web3 platform? No. Do you think anybody's going to get a hot wallet? No. What we're going to have to do is build stuff that works for the layman and the laywoman, the person who doesn't understand. That's what we have to build. Everybody else is going to go through an institution. So your Litecoin might not hit $400 in this cycle, but as a passive member of the BlackRock fund, your Litecoin may very well end up being worth $500 to $1,000 because of all the passive money coming into it. The same with any other token that gets added to these fund of funds. They simply buy and sell. But that's, of course, until the ETFs decide they're going to sell. And at that point, we need to decide what we're going to do. But I'm never selling Bitcoin. Like I said before, I am never going to sell my Bitcoin. I made that decision in January. A few people have told recently were very surprised by that. But at the end of the day, look at where we were 12 months ago. Look at where we were 4 years ago. And look at where we've come in 4 years and 1 year. And then think about where we're going to go in 4 years. So let's say in 4 years' time, we hit $500,000 on Bitcoin. Why on earth would you sell an asset now that's going to go to $500,000? You wouldn't. It would be insanity to sell Bitcoin. You would be insane. Okay? I would reach through this camera, okay, and I would slap you on the cheek. Now, if you have a medical emergency, if you have something like you have a massive, massive mortgage, take out collateral against your Bitcoiners or do, yeah, I understand. There are reasons that you have to sell your Bitcoin. I understand that. But for 95% of you, if you do not have to sell your Bitcoin, you should not be selling it, in my humble opinion. And I know that we're going to go from 160 to maybe 120,000. I know that. And if you want to sell at 160, do that and then buy it back at 120. I absolutely am on board with that. But never sell, in my book, means I've held from $3,000, $5,000. I was buying it. I've been buying it ever since, okay? Not massive amounts, of course, but I've been buying it ever since. Why do I care if it's 120, 160 or 200,000 if I've been buying it at $3,000? It doesn't matter, does it? So if you're buying in today at 120 and you want to take profits at 160, fine. It's a never sell asset for me. Good morning, Victoria. I hope you are well. Thank you for subscribing as well. And thank you for giving us a follow. I do apologise. I rant an awful lot on here. But that is just what I do. Now then, I tell you not to touch rubbish. I tell you not to touch meme coins. I tell you not to touch this stuff because it's all garbage. Now, who has raised their pretty little head above the precipice? Melania Trump revives the Solana meme coin after months of silence. Now, somebody has been watching the news and somebody has seen that crypto is clearly pumping. And guess who's made an appearance? Hello. Melania Trump revived her Sol-based Melania coin with an AI video, sparking a brief price spike after 10 months of silence. Blockchain analysts flagged 30 million in unexplained token sales, including 10 million from community pools, citing lack of transparency. Anyway, we're not going to talk too much about this. How long do we have left? Because I am talking. Right, got 2 minutes. Okay. Basically, if you ever want to buy a meme coin, ask me first. And I mean that with all sincerity. I made a video, did I not, in January this year, telling you that Yeezy was going to launch a token. Told you. And what did I say? I called it a gold digger. I called him a scam. Okay? What happened this year? He launched a token, and what happened? He rugged. He rugged it harder than he rugged Kardashian, or whatever she was called. Kim Kardashian. Don't buy this crap. Okay? I'm going to show you, or I'm going to tell you now, my 4 picks for this end game. Okay? We're going to call it the end of days. Right? That's what we're going to call it. Now, I don't normally do this. KB is probably rubbing his eyes in disbelief that I'm going to give you 4 picks. And these 4 picks, I wouldn't have told you to buy 2 months ago or 3 months ago. And I'm going to start with, and you know what we can do nowadays, because we have the Oracle upgraded this laptop. So I can now do stuff like this that I couldn't do before, which is incredible. My first pick is Pump.fun. I spent 3 weeks telling you this was utter crap. I said it was garbage. I hoped it went to 0. Okay, now, guess what? It pretty much did what I said it was going to do, which is absolutely tank. And then it bottomed out. And then I said the tokenomics of this token are now a lot better than they were during the dump phase, because it's flushed out. People have dumped it. And what they're doing now is they're buying the token back. And they make a ton of money. And what has happened since is it has been on this kind of pretty much retraced back to where it was. And now, another dip, and now we're going up. So my first pick, now let me explain another thing about this. If you have a $100,000 portfolio, you should take 1% into these tokens. No more. Don't listen to anybody that tells you to sell your Bitcoin and buy Pump, because they're talking through their holes, right? Risk management is about knowing that you shouldn't sell the crown jewels to buy a pizza, okay? Your crown jewels in this case is Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP and Solana. You don't sell that to buy this stuff. This is your end of days run, okay? Now, why do I pick this one? Because it's made an absolute fortune, and it continues to make an absolute fortune, and it buys its tokens back with its profits. So there is a buy pressure. Always ask yourself a question. Who is buying this token? In this instance, it was Pump.fun buying them. My second pick is Plasma. Plasma is a stable coin layer 2 blockchain. You can look at this chart and you can say it looks like a rug pull. You can. You can also say that all the people that were airdropped this token have sold it, and it's now bottomed out. Plasma is going to have trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars put through it. It's a stable coin settlement blockchain for stable coins. And part of this is Syrup. Syrup are on there as well. And I'm not plugging Syrup through this, I'm plugging Plasma, because I found out about Plasma separately to Syrup, and I thought that's an unusual idea. Plasma is going to be massive, okay? So strong fundamentals. It isn't technically absolutely 100% backed by Tether, but Tether are involved. And of course, Paolo Ardiano, who's called the guy in charge of Tether, he is also a very, very, very small investor in Plasma. But they're going to be huge, okay? But again, it's not really super sexy. It's a stable coin, layer 2. That's all it is. So that's my second pick. Now, Also, you will notice that some of my reasons for these tokens. Also, again, I can't see the damn keyboard. Right, here we go. Here we go. Right, this is my third pick. Now, I like hype. Not enough to buy hype. I get you, okay? Aster is the CZ-backed DEX hype challenger, whatever you want to call it. Now, it's only got a $3 billion market cap. It's at 192. People were buying this at 20 and 30 cents. I think I bought this about 120. I can't remember what I told you on the stream. I can't remember what the prices were. I think I bought it at 120 and then the following day sold it at 160, something like that. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. I made about 30% on it, but I bought and sold it. Now, the price action's pretty good. It's rocketed and held. Good. Positive. I'm not going to tell you this is going to go to $100 because it's clearly not going to go to $100. But for the next 6-8 weeks, could this go to $10-15 billion market cap like Hype has done? Maybe. 5x from here, 500% profit on this. Maybe 300% profit only goes to $6. Okay? But that's my other pick. And why am I backing that? Because it's backed by CZ. He is probably, even though he's been and spent some time at his, well, not actually His Majesty's pleasure, because that would be in the UK, at Trump's pleasure in America. He was behind bars over there for 3 months, but again, he took one for the team. So I think Aster is going to go up a little bit further. And again, I'm looking at the coins that are reacting the best in this market. And certainly Pump, certainly Aster. I've done it again. There's a few other coins which, you know what, I could get a little desk lamp, couldn't I? Come on. There we go. And this is my pick, okay? This is not based on anybody else. This isn't based on the chart action. This is my pick, okay? And the reason I have gone for this coin, very simply put, if you think Donald Trump is not going to milk crypto for the next 3 years for his personal gain, then I don't know what to tell you, because that's what he's going to do, okay? Donald Trump is the kind of guy who's going to make all of this money for America, and he's going to take his commission. And his commission and his multi-generational wealth strategy for his family is World Liberty Financial and USD1, which is their stable coin. Now, what USD1 is going to do, and lots of people have said it's going to go to 10 and 20 and 30 and $40 billion, okay? Eric and Donald Trump Jr. are literally running around the world signing deals for that stable coin. They're running around the world signing deals for World Liberty Financial. They've done deals with Justin Sun. They've got everybody. Trump can call anybody he wants in, okay? So this is Trump's play, okay? Now, look at the market cap. This has terrible tokenomics. It's Trump. Terrible. But he's the president of America. They've got a stable coin. Their stable coin profits and the profits from the platform are going to go in to buying this token back, and I think burning it. Okay. So 20 cents today is not going to be $200 in November or December, but this might be one of the ones I hold for the next 3 years. But mark my words, in the run up to the next election in 3 years' time, I will not be holding this token, because if there is one thing that maybe Newsom is going to do, is he will go after World Liberty Financial, and by that point Trump will be uber duper rich. Okay, so this is my fourth pick. So my 4 picks for October and November, and I don't do this very often: Pump, Plasma, Aster, World Liberty Financial. I hold a fraction of Pump. I do not hold a lot of Plasma. I think I've got literally $10 of Plasma. I don't hold Aster, sorry. And my only one that I really, really hold is World Liberty Financial. That's it, okay? So this is not personal. I'm not telling you this for a personal reason. but I think they're all going to go up. And everything's going to go up in October, I know. And I don't want to sit here on November the 1st and say I told you so. But I think these 4 coins, the price action of these 4 coins has done incredibly well over the last few bounces. So when we dump, what bounces back quickly? That's what you need to be looking at. If we dump in the market and then Bitcoin goes up 5% and your coin doesn't go up at all, or it goes up 1%, why are you holding it? Just hold Bitcoin. You want coins that are going to outperform Bitcoin here on in. And probably the majority of coins are going to outperform Bitcoin from here on in. But look for the ones that might be able to do multiples of Bitcoin from here on in. If Bitcoin is going to do a 50% move from here today, that puts World Liberty Financial at 30 cents. Do you think 30 cents in a bull run is achievable? I think it's massively, massively conservative. Maybe 60 cents to $1.20. What about Pump? Pump is going to do more than a 50% pump. Plasma, Aster, the same thing. So they're not necessarily the top 4, but it wouldn't surprise me if one of those 4 coins are in the top 5 or 6 coins that rip between now and the end of the year, or now and the end of November. Anyway, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of me. Oh, question. Good morning. What do I think of AVAX, Chainlink, and Ondo? Ondo, I absolutely love Ondo. I also hold Maple Finance. So if you look at the very front screen, you will see that one. That middle icon there, the orange one, that is Maple Finance. Ondo, Maple Finance, real-world asset projects, massively, massively, massively bullish on them. And I would put them into the category of tokens that I sell at the end of this bull run, wait for the prices to come down, and then I would buy them back in. So Ondo, for me, is massive. Tariq, I mentioned it just before you came on. I'll send you the link on Telegram. You can go and have a look. What else was there? Chainlink is my favorite. Well, it's the number 1 Oracle. It's my favorite one. My target for Chainlink is $80 to $100. But you got to remember, my price targets that I'm talking about today, I was talking about a year and 2 years ago. My end of bull run target is the same as I was talking about last year and the year before. And the problem is, and I watch other people that talk about this kind of stuff, is they change their targets. Half the people I watched in April were telling everybody that the market, the bull run was going to end in May. And then we got to May, and then suddenly they all changed their minds to November. And now half of those have changed their minds to next year. So if anything, I'm consistent, okay? If anything, I'm consistent. So Chainlink, I've probably got another 3 to 4x. Ondo hasn't moved. It got to $1.10, 90 cents, $1.10, 90 cents. There's loads of bullish news that have come out about Ondo. The stocks, the tokenization of stocks that they've launched hasn't moved the price. Don't know what's going on there. Anyway, what else was there? And the last one, AVAX. I've got a tiny bag of AVAX. AVAX is going to do well. That is the end, though, because I don't want to keep you too long. It's been an hour and 10 minutes of your time, and I appreciate your time is valuable. So thank you, everybody, for watching. If you've not subscribed or followed us, please do so. Really hard to get traction at the minute. Retail has disappeared. It's impossible to get people watching our videos. So if you could, give us a follow. That would be fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. And remember, I know I have my Halloween-y themed thumbnail. We will keep that for October. And then we might have a slight Christmassy one in November. Okay? So bear in mind, have a great weekend. I'm probably going to do another stream between now and the end of the weekend anyway, because I've got to catch up. I've had 2 days basically off. So I will see you all either this weekend or on Monday. Thank you, everybody.